Gino Palazzolo from 90 Day, The Last Resort, once claimed he had dirt on his wife Jasmine Pineda's lover, Matt Brownie's enough to make him cry at the tell-all. Matt is known to 90 Day Fiancé fans as Jasmine's baby daddy since she refuses to call him her boyfriend. Jasmine had wanted Matt as the third in her open marriage with Gino after a therapist suggested it might save their sexless relationship. Their marriage quickly hit a roadblock after filming, and just months later, Jasmine became pregnant with Matt's child. The 90 Day, The Last Resort tell-all was filmed nearly a year after Season 2 wrapped. Many changes had taken place in the couple's lives, including for Gino and Jasmine. The Panamanian woman arrived at the reunion, visibly pregnant. Gino was aware of the pregnancy and seemed embarrassed about what his co-stars and viewers would think. Looking nervous, Gino made a shocking statement about Jasmine's baby daddy before their story was confirmed at the reunion. His words hinted at deeper drama yet to unfold, leaving fans eager for answers. Gino appeared to be the last 90 Day Fiancé cast member to arrive on the tell-all set. He was greeted by Florian Sukic and began sharing details about his breakup with Jasmine. When Florian asked if he was excited for the tell-all, Gino made a face and let out a long breath, hinting that much had happened since the recommitment ceremony. Gino explained how he and Jasmine had renewed their vows in the finale at the resort. And a lot went down since then, he added. Things started changing. Gino turned to the cameras and began explaining that he and Jasmine were in a good place after recommitting to each other. He said things started to change quickly once they returned home to Michigan. Gino then told Florian he had some dirt he planned to bring to the tell-all. That's for sure, he added. The Albanian man cheered for his friend and told Gino it was his time to shine. Gino's tone hinted that tensions with Jasmine had escalated more than anyone expected after the finale. I'm gonna make him cry. Gino and Florian laughed together, as if they were in on a big secret. Meanwhile, Gino gave the producers a glimpse into what was on his mind. He revealed that if Matt showed up at the tell-all, he had some dirt on him. Gino confidently claimed he was ready to bring Matt to tears with what he planned to reveal about Jasmine's baby daddy. His tone suggested he was holding back something explosive, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation that could shake up everything once the tell-all began. Matt showed up at the tell-all, but not in person. He attended via video call and talked about how scared he was when Jasmine told him she was pregnant, since he never wanted to have kids or get married at a young age. Florian turned to Matt and said he was surprised Matt had agreed to come to the reunion. I'm like in your shoes. Never mother. Nobody can see my face here, Florian said to Matt. Jasmine's baby daddy knew Gino had made everyone think he was some horrible marriage breaker. I'm not that type of person. When Sean Robinson asked Matt what he'd like to say to Gino, Matt admitted he wasn't the type to argue with Gino about what happened. He said he had agreed to be in an open relationship. Matt insisted he was just friends with Jasmine and didn't need to go after anyone's woman. He slammed Gino for hurting Jasmine's feelings and making her cry, accusing him of not speaking to her like someone he cared about. Shut up, you don't know anything, Gino yelled, adding that he treated Jasmine nicely. Gino's friend Rob Warren believed Gino agreed to the open marriage because he loved Jasmine and wanted to make it work. Gino admitted he regretted the decision, but said he did it because nothing was working between them, and he wanted to make Jasmine happy so they could reunite and eliminate the third person. Jasmine claimed Gino asked her to bring cheeseburgers from Matt every time she went over to sleep with him. At one point, Gino called Matt a deckhead, and Matt fired back by calling Gino a senior citizen and telling him to shut up. At no point did it seem like Gino had any dirt on Matt that could humiliate him. Gino knew he had lost Jasmine to Matt, and it was his fault for agreeing to the open marriage. It was Matt who embarrassed Gino with the cheeseburger reveal, and he didn't appear hurt by anything Gino said. Matt even knew Gino and Jasmine hadn't slept together since getting married. Gino had to lean on Rob for support, lacking the confidence to engage in a real argument with Matt. Gino has always come across as a meek and awkward man on the show. Though he had several arguments with Jasmine, it was always she who screamed, yelled, and had things to say, while Gino could only shrug and let her get her way. There was no chance he had the confidence to confront Matt at the tell-all or even in person, and that's what Jasmine took advantage of. Gino wouldn't have been able to hold a mature conversation with Matt. He even refused to face him during the video call when Jasmine introduced them. Gino needed another man to stand up for him. He likely expected Rob to do the dirty work, as Rob had previously accused Jasmine of cheating on Gino and called her derogatory names. Gino let down even the fans who had supported him with his cowardice at the 90-day, the last resort tell-all. There didn't seem to be any dirt he had on Matt, and even if he did, it didn't appear Matt was interested in ever facing Jasmine's estranged husband again to hear it. Matt, on the other hand, came across as confident and unbothered, fully aware of the power shift. He didn't need to raise his voice or engage in drama. His calm demeanor and sharp jabs said it all. While Gino sat quietly, visibly uncomfortable, Matt subtly asserted dominance by showing he knew more about Jasmine's current life than her husband did. It was clear Matt wasn't intimidated by Gino in the slightest, and his presence alone made 90-day, the last resort's Gino retreat further into the background. In the battle for Jasmine, Matt had already won. I won't sugarcoat it. Matt and Amani Their's throuple story with Amani Their on 90-Day Fiancé is, in my opinion, one of the most ridiculous storylines the franchise has ever had. Matt and Amani from San Diego were introduced as a seemingly regular couple with a big secret. They were in a polyamorous relationship with Annie, a stripper from Mexico. After dating her for a year, they planned to bring Annie to the US on a K-1 visa and take their relationship to the next level. This would mean either Matt or Amani would have to marry Annie after getting a divorce from each other. The plan seemed solid, but was it worth giving up a 10-year marriage for? At first, it looked like Matt and Amani were sure of it, but with each new episode, Amani seems to be rethinking Annie as their third. She may have finally noticed how irritated Annie looks around her, even when she calls Amani her honey, and it's starting to feel like Annie is only putting up with Amani because she wants money. When Annie told Amani she loved her more than him, it felt like a lie. It seemed like a tactic to calm Amani down, because if she didn't, Annie risked losing both Amani and Matt. Amani started the throuple, but wouldn't hesitate to end it if she sensed Annie was hiding something. The show hinted that Annie may be using a fake name, with her real name being Brenda, but I think the bigger secret is her true feelings for Matt. Annie's words feel strategic, not sincere, and there's more to her story than she's letting on. As far as I know, Annie hasn't publicly shared her sexual orientation or whether she's dated women before. She introduced Matt to her family as her boyfriend, but Amani as a friend. It seems clear that Annie wants Matt for herself. Amani trusts her completely, but I wouldn't be surprised if Annie ends up only marrying Matt after the divorce to secure the K-1 visa. In the end, Amani may be left with nothing but heartbreak and regret, watching Annie thrive in a new life with the man who was once her husband. Annie is playing both sides, despite saying she's in love with Amani and Matt. It could be Amani's fault that this throuple situation isn't working. I genuinely think Amani has become the third wheel in Annie and Matt's story. I saw her jealousy once she found out her husband and girlfriend were sleeping together behind her back. She had a meltdown when she realized Annie's family didn't even know she existed. To them, Matt was her only significant other. That moment made it clear that Amani might be the odd one out. Now that Amani knows she could lose her husband to Annie, she seems to be on a mission to dig into Annie's past. However, I don't think it's her business to meet Annie's ex-boyfriend and question them about her. If she doubted Annie that much, maybe she shouldn't have dated her in the first place. She doesn't know if Annie is exclusively with her and Matt or is still seeing clients from her work as an exotic dancer. In the end, I don't think Annie is scamming anyone. Amani is just upset Matt is falling for Annie. However, I also suspect Amani, Matt, and Annie are doing this for a storyline. Amani and Matt were previously on Netflix's How to Get Rich, so maybe they love being on TV so much they thought they'd try something new on 90-Day Fiancé. Since Amani isn't originally from the US, involving Annie in a throuple plot, something the show had never done before, was an easy way to grab attention. Creating a buzzworthy story like this would instantly make them the highlight of the season. With how things are going between them and Annie on 90-Day Fiancé, I wouldn't be surprised if Amani and Matt cut ties with her once they leave Mexico. Since they've shown interest in a throuple marriage, they might find someone new to replace Annie and pitch another season. It all seems a little too perfect. I can picture Annie showing up at the tell-all to confirm their breakup. If this is just a storyline for fame, then Annie might be the temporary third meant to boost their screen time and nothing more. This season of 90 Day Fiancé, the other way has been nothing short of a roller coaster, and for Shakina and Sarper, it's been a white-knuckle ride. As the couples wrestle with where to build their lives together, the emotional toll of immigration, cultural adjustment, and relationship dynamics has become impossible to ignore. And for Shakina and Sarper, the cracks are showing more than ever. Ever since Sarper left Turkey and relocated to Los Angeles to be with Shakina, the two have been walking on eggshells. In last week's episode, tensions reached a boiling point during a fiery argument that exposed their simmering frustrations. Shakina, feeling like she's been carrying the relationship on her back financially, emotionally, and domestically, broke down over Sarper's lack of appreciation. Meanwhile, Sarper, grappling with homesickness and a tough transition to life in LA, insisted that Shakina wasn't acknowledging how much she was struggling. The fight ended with more than just harsh words. Sarper has been sleeping on the couch ever since, and their silence was deafening until this week's episode, when things finally came to a head. With only 2 months left on Sarper's visa, the clock is ticking. It's now or never. Either they get married, or he heads back to Turkey alone. Sitting down for a make-or-break conversation, Sarper didn't mince words in his confessional. We cannot keep living this way. We have to solve it. We have to break up, or we have to get well again. Nothing in between. Face to face, the tension was palpable. Sarper told Shakina he felt like she didn't even like him anymore. Her response was cutting. "I don't like the Sarper that you've been showing me lately." She described his recent behavior as cold, distant, rude, and dismissive. In a raw moment to the camera, Sarper confessed he was losing faith in their connection. "She was obsessed with me in Turkey," he said. "She used to listen to me. Her tone, her energy was different. But since we came here, everything changed." Shakina, on the other hand, wasn't buying the idea that LA was to blame. "Your behavior is the problem," she insisted. "The version of me that you get depends on how you treat me. And lately, you've been treating me terribly. That's on you." She didn't hold back, accusing Sarper of being reckless with their relationship and questioning how much more she could take. But rather than apologize or reflect, Sarper doubled down. "If we break up," he told her, "you'll cry for years. I know you. In the most perfect match for you." The argument ended without resolution. Shakina, visibly frustrated, left the room, telling Sarper to come back when he had something better to say. Later, in a vulnerable confessional, she reflected on her growing doubts. "I feel foolish," she admitted. "I should have trusted my instincts. I never wanted to get married, and now I'm starting to think I was right all along." Colt Johnson from 90 Day Fiancé is finally turning the page after years of chaos, making his comeback on 90 Day. Hunt for love while also working to mend his fractured relationship with his mom, Debbie Johnson, on 90 Day Diaries. Colt was introduced as a mild-mannered software engineer from Las Vegas in Season 6, where his whirlwind marriage to Brazilian partner Larissa Lima crashed and burned within a year, fueled by Larissa's 3 arrests and Colt's famously tight bond with his over-involved mother. Debbie used to cook for Colt, do his laundry, and even drop him off and pick him up from work. Colt used to describe himself as a mommy's boy. Debbie even played a part in Colt's breakup with Jess Caroline, which created tension between him and Vanessa Guerra. After they went their separate ways, Debbie began living temporarily in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada, with her boyfriend, Tony Starcevich. She is still trying to get her permanent residency. Meanwhile, Colt is ready to start dating again, following his divorce from Vanessa in 2024 and recovery from his accident. Colt and his mother had lived together all his life. Even though Debbie had always been overbearing, she had been with Colt through the ups and downs of his life. However, they had a falling out 2 years ago at the Single Life Tell-All. Colt was fed up, and as a result, Debbie and Colt stopped talking. It was also the last time that he saw her. Colt had finally realized that his relationship with his mother was toxic. He felt Debbie was always interfering or meddling in his life. And finally, I had enough. When Colt confronted Debbie at the tell-all, it was to talk to her about how she had freaked out when he told her he and Vanessa were moving out. Colt had asked Debbie to be more independent, causing Debbie to burst into tears while telling Colt she was trying to get away from him. Nonetheless, Colt accused Debbie of faking her emotions and guilt-tripping him. Colt even disapproved of Debbie's relationship with Tony. Plus, He claimed he refused to call Debbie his mother anymore. It was the breaking point of Colt's relationship with his mom, whom he once adored. Colt was living in Morgan, Utah, on episode 6 of 90 Day Diaries. He revealed he had left Utah 2 weeks earlier to live with his mother's brother, John, on his farm. He spoke about how his life had been hard recently and needed a fresh start. Colt shared that he liked being a farmer. Colt's uncle appreciated how he was reclaiming his life. He had gone through a divorce, had moved, and had also lost his job. John was glad he was in Utah when he could have gone to Canada. "Well, I haven't really been in communication with my mother." Colt told his uncle that his mother didn't even know where he was. Colt had been texting Debbie here and there, but he hadn't told her directly that he and Vanessa had split. John suggested that Colt go to Canada to see Debbie. "You should take a week, 2 weeks, whatever," John advised Colt, although he asked his nephew to get his chores done before he left. Colt told the cameras that he understood where his uncle was coming from, but John didn't quite understand Colt's relationship with his mother. In episode 7, Colt revealed he was in Canada. He was on his way to see his mother for the first time in 2 years. Colt had come to realize that he wanted Debbie in his life. However, he was afraid that Debbie and he were going to start fighting again and open up old conflicts and wounds that would push them further apart. However, he saw it as a time of exploration and looked forward to getting back together with his mother. Debbie had decided to be very careful around Colt. She wondered if Colt was in some kind of trouble for him to come to Canada to see her after 2 years of not being in contact. When Colt met Debbie at the airport, they hugged as if they'd never been apart. Colt was to stay with Debbie and Tony at their house. The next morning, Colt told Debbie he and Vanessa were divorced and that he was living in Utah with his Uncle John. Debbie didn't react the way Colt expected her to when he told her about Vanessa and how he moved to Utah. Nonetheless, Debbie was happy Colt had decided to go live with John. Colt had expected Debbie to be hurt or to feel like he should have gone to her instead. However, Colt felt like a burden had been lifted off his chest. He didn't know why he didn't do it sooner. Debbie and Tony suggested that Colt should take some time for himself and figure out what he needed to do next. Colt made the best out of his Canada visit as he began spending more and more time with his mother and her boyfriend. In September 2024, 90 Day Fiancé Update shared clips of Colt with the couple. Likely taken from Colt's Instagram stories, the video had some sweet moments of Debbie and Tony showing Colt around town by taking him shopping at a local market. Colt seemed very happy to have reunited with his mother. It must have been hard for him to be separated from the person he loved so much. Interestingly, in May, Shabuti posted a video showing Debbie and her son, Colt, at the Saturday market in Portland, Oregon. The slow-motion video captured Debbie and Colt walking through the market, with her using a mobility scooter. Another picture posted by Shabuti featured Tony posing for a photo with Debbie and Colt, indicating he had also accompanied them on their trip to Portland. It's not known if Portland is where Debbie is living now with Tony and Colt, but it appears fans won't wait much longer to find out, considering Colt is making his 90 Day Fiancé comeback soon.